If you are obese and you want to use running as a weight loss strategy, you will have a better chance at completely avoiding a knee injury if you run with a forefoot strike, which means making initial ground contact on the front part of your foot. I posted a link to a video down below in the description box on a beautiful demonstration of what a proper forefoot strike looks like. So be sure to check that out. But what's as equally important to landing on your forefoot during running is that you want to always ensure both knees are softly bent. And you always want to maintain a slight forward lean, and that you always want to try and keep your torso and head more up front, closer to initial foot strike position. These positional alignments during running really helps safeguard the knees by reducing the moment of inertia on the knee joint, which essentially means that there is a reduced resistance to accelerate going forward during running, and with that may equate to less mechanical demands transferred on the knee joint. The best evidence of this was revealed in a 2005 study published in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise. The researchers found that knee flexion at touchdown during running, which means bending your knee when your forefoot strikes the ground, was found to reduce mechanical efforts on the knee joint to drive the swing phase during running. This situation leads to less economical burdens on the knee, because when you bend your knee at touchdown during running, doing so naturally amplifies the spring effects of the arch in the foot and the Achilles tendon, which collectively may enhance the popping up of the foot to initiate flight or forward propulsion. So by slightly bending your knee at each step while running with a forefoot strike, you are running with less muscular and mechanical work from the knee, but rather you are operating like a spring, which is a very big high point because you stand to gain a more secure supply of energy when you tap into the spring potential of the arch and the Achilles tendon, just simply by bending both knees at all times, which will also definitely make long distance running easier to sustain without knee burning pain. So just know that by bending both knees at all times during forefoot running, regardless of your weight, may help remove harmful mechanical conditions on the knee joint that may help drive down structural tension. What's more important is that in the same study, the researchers found that bending the knee joint at touchdown during running reduced the leg's moment of inertia, meaning that there was less overload on the knee joint because there was less mechanical demands on the knee to drive the body forward and accelerate the body's mass during running. This data point is very important because the more you weigh, the more you may be harder to move you forward if you don't bend your knee at touchdown during running, whereby, for example, if you were to land with a heel strike, meaning the foot lands heel first, coupled with straightening out your knee joint at touchdown, coupled with running too upright with your torso and not leaning forward enough when running, taken together, these mechanical alignments may increase the moment of inertia on the leg, which means resistance may build up during running, causing your legs, and especially your knee, to work harder than it should, because these mechanical arrangements, i.e. running too upright, not bending your knee at touchdown, swinging your leg too far out in front of your body to heel strike, may push your body's mass more back, away, and behind initial foot strike position. This essentially creates a longer distance between your body's mass and initial foot strike position, whereby the longer this distance, the more intensified forward resistance becomes during running, which may further spread more loads to the knee joint. And it's even more important to underscore that the more you weigh, the harder it is to move your heaviness forward at each step during running when there's a long distance between your torso and initial foot strike position, as a greater disproportion of mass is created since running too upright and overextending your stride way in front of you, which is essentially facilitated when you unbend your knee at touchdown, may tilt your body's mass too far behind the center of rotation around your knee joint when you run. And this way of running is a very common risk factor for runner's knee. Luckily, one of the best continuing resolutions for this problem is to effectively shorten the distance between your upper body, which is your body's mass, and initial foot strike position while making sure you land with a forefoot strike. This is going to help sand down resistance against linear acceleration in ways that will make it increasingly easy for the knees to function more optimally as a joint. Your knee is in a more optimal position where it doesn't have to work so hard to tug your body along at each step. By implementing these three mechanical components, forward leaning, knee bending, and forefoot striking will help create a mechanical climate that may help reject resistance against linear acceleration. In other words, forward momentum can be more easily sustained, your stride will feel springier and lighter, which is what really needs to be done if you are an overweight runner. Runners of all sizes should really learn to tailor their biomechanics to remove harmful conditions on the knee joint, and a prerequisite is that these three mechanical components that I just outlined, leaning forward, forefoot striking, knee bending, keeps your mass equally distributed closer to your knee joint and initial foot strike position, which is going to help keep inertia low, which is equal to diminished resistance to move forward. Another useful strategy to provide a more optimal basis for helping to harmonize and bring together these three mechanical elements that safeguard the knees. Remember, they are forward leaning, forefoot striking, and knee bending, is with barefoot running. One of the mechanical highlights of barefoot running is it naturally and reflexively encourages forefoot striking, knee bending, and forces you to sequence postural adjustments in your upper body, such as forward leaning, in order to make running barefoot feel more comfortable. Barefoot running has been proven over and over to really be the basic bond that effectively and naturally helps snap all the right biomechanics into action, which will definitely give you a new capacity to improve your biomechanics. No matter how much you weigh, contrary to popular belief, when you run barefoot, you actually land more lightly, not harder, on your foot as compared with running in traditional running shoes with thick cushioning. Running in thickly cushioned running shoes has the proven effect of causing a runner to slam harder with the foot on the ground in efforts to push the foot through all the compressible materials of the shoe to reach a more stable landing surface, which may consequentially get translated into more impact loads piercing through the body. Conversely, running barefoot, no matter your weight, has been proven to be very useful in breaking the harmful impulsive act of heavy foot striking by triggering your knee to naturally and reflexively flex or bend, and also it forces you to reflexively pull up faster or retract your leg and foot more rapidly during the stance phase of running, rather than to force or rush your foot down to the ground at each step, like so many shod runners do. Collectively, running barefoot translates into a lighter foot ground interaction and reduces impulsive high-impact landing behaviors. This is because there's proven to be a strong sensory connection between running barefoot and landing lightly. Research has really laid out that the high resolution of sensory input that floods the foot when you run barefoot improves the quality of your mechanical engagement in a wide range of ways that may attract good running economy as well. So the more you can go barefoot, the better off, especially since your feet and ankles are strengthened every time you go barefoot, and your arches will have a renewed capacity to uphold itself rather than to rely on arch support, because running in general can be a messy business if your feet are weak. So let go of the fear of running barefoot, especially since landing with a heavy foot strike during running is definitely a shared common concern among all runners, not just overweight runners. It has been shown in many studies compared with other approaches that in barefoot running, impact moderating behavior is enhanced, meaning that you are in a better sensory position to naturally adjust your landing strategy and intensity in ways that deliver benefits by amplifying the body's own cushioning effects through encouraging forefoot strike, leaning forward, and increased knee flexion or knee bending, to which incoming impact forces are greatly diminished, especially on the knee joint. So just to reiterate, when you run barefoot, the enhanced sensory and tactile stimulation that pierces through the feet enable you to properly implement safer mechanics, helping to block sources of strain on the knee joint. And by extension, I really do think that running barefoot is the best possible place to start when it comes to learning forefoot running, since the sensory input that floods the foot is really an irreplaceable resource for helping to fix your form in a highly targeted way. Not to mention, at the anecdotal level, barefoot running has helped a tremendous amount of people of all sizes, which really supports the benefits of barefoot running, not discredits it. This is also why traditional running shoes are really beginning to fall out of favor, as the inflow of sensory input is cut off in these types of shoes. And if you are a new runner, your biomechanics may not be properly utilized in these shoes. If you don't want to run barefoot all the time, you can wear minimalist running shoes like the Vibram 5 Fingers, the Morel Vapor Gloves, or Vivo Barefoot running shoes. I posted the reviews I did on these shoes down below in the description box. The outsole of these shoes are very thin and light, which definitely may help you avoid costly mechanical mistakes that you may normally make in traditional running shoes. Learning how to run doesn't have to be a long and difficult process littered with injurious setbacks. To help shape a more fully effective injury-free approach to running, especially if you are overweight, you can stop harmful impacts from slaughtering your knees when all your focus should really be on avoiding running too upright and instead slightly lean forward with your weight. Bend both knees at all times, especially when your foot strikes the ground, and always be sure to land on the front part of your foot or on the balls of your foot. And I can guarantee you that making these mechanical tweaks will definitely heighten your odds of avoiding crippling knee pain and may help take your running journey to a whole new ambitious level. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel where you will stay up to date on all the latest research regarding the health and performance benefits of barefoot running and minimalist running. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have fun out there on the roads and trails. Bye for now.